Alright, here we go.
You good?
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Craig Lucas.
Yeah.
Ever go back to the world?
No.
Have a brother with the word?
Yeah.
Spirit feelings that they hurt?
No.
Identify yourself with the curse?
Yeah.
Got a spirit of fear?
No.
Never more the corners of your beard?
Yeah.
Gillette razor?
No.
Got a King James pocket full of beer?
Yeah.
Central Bowl chair?
No.
Will you Chris really have woolly hair?
Yeah.
Did your wife wear the pants in the house where a dress code you lower cover up her head? Are you in the congregation of the day?
No.
Reading in the book that was in your head?
Yeah.
Never follow God, always follow man?
No.
Give me Isaiah 28:10.
Yeah.
Do you hate the other camps?
No.
Sit down when I'm talking about like a
Yeah.
man? Do you close up the book?
No.
Speak loud like you in the back of the bus? Go to church every Sunday?
No.
Free blue water every garment?
Yeah.
Commit adultery?
No.
Keep the Sabbath?
Yeah.
Israel got commandments. I follow it daily, most high ain't playing. Israel got commandments. Repentance don't get it cause you ain't praying. Israel got commandments. Judgment is coming, I gotta keep up with this. Israel got commandments. My brothers and sisters is chosen, I never go back where I came from. I'ma stay in this book. I never go back where I came from. Where my father's kids. I never go back where I came from. I never sell my soul. I never go back where I came from. I'ma follow these laws. Do you envy your oppressor?
No.
Know what tribe you come from according to the scriptures? You from Africa?
No.
From the tribe of Judah?
Yeah.
Always had paper in your life?
No.
Ever been a nigga poor broke?
Yeah.
Live at home with your mama?
No.
Got a job 9 to 5 grinding?
Yeah.
Blow trees?
No.
1 Peter 1:13?
Yeah.
Christ died for everybody?
No.
Only came for the lost sheep?
Yeah.
Those people are the real Jews?
No.
How can a nigga put it in the book?
Yeah.
They don't tell us the truth?
No.
You got proof?
Yeah.
Enemies, can you trust them?
No.
Trust them as far as you can throw them?
Yeah.
Hold up. Are you a racist?
No.
Did they paint over all the prophets' faces?
Yeah.
Celebrate Christmas?
No.
Feast of dedication?
Yeah.
Got a cigarette?
No.
Got a pamphlet?
Yeah.
Israel got commandments. I follow it daily, most high ain't playing. Israel got commandments. Repentance don't get it cause you ain't praying. Israel got commandments. Judgment is coming, I gotta keep up with this. Israel got commandments. My brothers and sisters is chosen, I never go back where I came from. I'ma stay in this book. I never go back where I came from. Where my father's kids. I never go back where I came from. I never sell my soul. I never go back where I came from. I'ma follow these laws. Want some of them ribs?
No.
We got beef, brother, we ain't got pig.
Yeah.
You don't eat shrimp?
No.
Thought you used to eat shellfish, damn.
Yeah.
Would you take a whacker for your wife?
No.
Do you fear God for your life?
Yeah.
Take him for a joke?
No.
You and her equally yoked?
Yeah.
Take your face like a bear?
No.
Got good women like Claire?
Yeah.
Do you got a Jezebel at home or Proverbs 31:10?
Yeah.
Would you make a deal with the devil?
No.
Or you been different, been special?
Yeah.
Forget your people in the
No.
Malachi 2:7?
Yeah.
Micah 3:11?
No.
Never tripping on correction?
Yeah.
Ever leave the Bible?
No.
Got a new school open family?
Yeah.
Come as you are.
No.
Show yourself approval with the laws.
Yeah.
Effeminate?
No.
Masculine?
Yeah.
Israel got commandments. I follow it daily, most high ain't playing. Israel got commandments. Repentance don't get it cause you ain't praying. Israel got commandments. Judgment is coming, I gotta keep up with this. Israel got commandments. My brothers and sisters is chosen, I never go back where I came from. I'ma stay in this book. I never go back where I came from. Where my father's kids. I never go back where I came from. I never sell my soul. I never go back where I came from. I'ma follow these laws.
Please crack responsibly.
Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
Most High in Christ bless.
Most High, Christ bless.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh in the name of his son Yahweh Shai, and greetings to the 12 tribes of Israel, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and those that are scattered to the four corners of the globe that fit the curses in Deuteronomy 28. My name is Yakanah Maccabeus.
And that is Chadwick.
And this is Mikael.
And today's lesson is Crafty Counsel, exposing the Smithsonian Institute and debunking the Bering Strait.
Kanye, we thank you for joining us this Shabbat, and we're going to expose the Crafty Counsel of the Smithsonian Institute and the Bering Strait myth to show you that the more evidence that the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Hispanic people are part of the tribes of Israel. So we're going to start as always with John chapter 8 verse 32. John 8:32 says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So that's one thing that's missing in this country today is the truth. We know the truth always starts with the scriptures because the word of the Most High is truth. So we're going to bring out scriptures and precepts to validate the evidence we're going to bring out today, as always.
Okay. From there, we're going to go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 10. The book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 10. And it reads, "For precept must be upon precept. For precept must be upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little and there a little."
So we're using the whole scriptures from Genesis, the Apocrypha, and to Revelation to bring out all our lessons. If it's not in the scriptures, then it's not the truth.
Okay. From there, we're going to go to the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 1. The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 1. The word of the Lord, Salakia. The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 1. "Hear the word of Yahweh, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land."
So why does the Most High have a controversy against this land?
For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth.
There is truth?
There is no truth.
Okay.
There is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Yahweh in the land.
And unfortunately, most of our people, the true Israelites according to the Bible, are lost. We do not know our nationality according to the Bible because these devils that control the information won't teach us. They won't. We go to church to learn the Bible. They won't teach us the Bible. We go to school to get educated. They miseducate us. We look at the news to find out what's going on. The news constantly lie to us. So there is no truth in this land at all, hardly. It's tough to find the truth in this land. And many of our people, unfortunately, are walking lost to this day, not knowing a damn thing, because there's so much misinformation.
Okay.
So that's why we're fighting back by bringing out the scriptures and bringing out the truth, which is the word of the Most High, to combat all the lies and falsehoods that's going on in this nation that we're living in.
Okay.
Next, let's go into the book.
From there, we're going to go into the book, The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons and Great Smithsonian Cover-Up, written by Richard J. Dewhurst.
Yeah, so we're bringing this book out because it shows how the Smithsonian Institute, so-called place of history and information, was created, and exposes, it covers how they have shaped up the educational paradigm that we're living in now, how they shaped it up to be full of lies and falsehoods. This is some powerful information, so I hope that you're able to receive this.
So we're going to read in the book, The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons and the Great Smithsonian Covered Up, page 3, bottom paragraph, page 3 through 6. What my research has revealed is that the Smithsonian has been at the center of vast cover-up of America's true history since the 1880s. The Smithsonian was originally founded in 1829 with $500,000, a grant from the British mineralogist James Smithson, who never visited the United States, died without heirs, and was buried in Genoa, Italy.
Okay, so the Smithsonian Institute was founded by was it a British person then?
A British mineralogist named James Smithson.
That never been to America, and as you know how rich white people, they have inheritance to leave, so he left an inheritance to start off this museum in the Americas.
This is a sign of the Smithsonian's utter disregard for history, is that Smithson's body was reburied at the Smithsonian Castle in 20th century in a sarcophagus that lists his age at death as 75, when it is common knowledge that he was closer to 65 when he died.
So they can't even tell the truth about the founder of the Smithsonian, saying he was 75 when he was dead at 65. So it was a foundation built on sand and not on rock from the beginning.
Okay. After the Civil War, the Smithsonian began to adopt the policy of excluding any evidence of direct foreign influence in the Americas prior to Columbus. Some have argued that it was an attempt by the fractured post-Civil War government to downplay any regional and ethnic conflicts in the still fragile national rebuilding after the war. Others have pointed to the expansionist policies incorporated in the doctrine of manifest destiny and the desire to obscure the origins of the tribes being displaced and annihilated by westward expansion. Still others have alleged that it was a direct religious policy adapted to counter the growing problem with the Mormon religion and its assertions that the lost tribes of Israel were to be found in America.
All right, read that again real slow, that last part.
Still others have alleged that it was a direct religious policy adapted to counter the growing problem with the Mormon religion and its assertions that the lost tribes of Israel were to be found in America.
So, the Smithsonian Institute, from the very inception, had developed Crafty counsel against the indigenous people of the Americas to downplay their history and society, saying that they was uncivilized, they was living like barbarous lives, instead of bringing out the great advancements and contributions that they made to the Americas before the Europeans invaded America. That they don't teach you that the indigenous people taught the Europeans how to bathe or how to grow their own food and provide for themselves.
Okay.
These are very intelligent people. And the Smithsonian tried to downplay them, saying that it was savages and wild people, and they never looked into their history, see who they were before they came to Americans. That's why we don't. U.S. history usually starts after Columbus came in 1492. It doesn't, know nothing about America before 1492. And how can Christopher Columbus discover a land that was already occupied?
Okay.
That don't make no sense. So we'll just bring this information out to shape the narrative of how the Smithsonian has corrupted what we know today as history and information.
All of these policies can be directly traced to Major John Wesley Powell and his tenure at the Smithsonian from 1879 to 1902.
Constance, remember that name, Major John Wesley Powell. He was very instrumental in devising the Crafty Council of the Smithsonian.
Major John Wesley Powell was a geologist and explorer who led expeditions and conducted surveys of the American West in 1869. He set out by boat to explore the Colorado River from the Green River, Wyoming Territory to the foot of the Grand Canyon. When Congress created the Bureau of Ethnology in 1879, Powell was named its first director, post he held until his death in 1902. Placed under the auspices of the Smithsonian Institute, the Bureau, whose name was changed to Bureau of American Ethnology, was to be the repository of the archived records and material relating to the Indians of North America.
Okay.
Because of his experience as a Western explorer, Powell was considered an expert on the geography of the American West, and he was asked to write a report on the history of the ancient tribes and their probable origins, which was to become the official policy of the Smithsonian for the next 100+ years.
So this man is the reason why we don't know who the Native Americans and indigenous people are in America today, because he rewrote history. He didn't preserve. That's what the Smithsonian was to do. It wasn't there to preserve or bring out the truth. It was there to lie and deceive us, to hide the truth from us.
Ken.
Let me bring out Psalms 83, the Crafty Counsel passage. Psalms 83, starting at verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. We know that the Israelites, they are hidden among society. They're not recognized as being the Most High's chosen people. They got the Khazars, who people call us the Jewish people, as my so-called Most High's chosen people, when it's far from the truth, because we know the Most High's people were not pale according to the scriptures. Psalms 83, verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So John Wesley Powell, he explored Americas all the way out west, so he knew who the Native Americans were the chosen people of the Bible, but he refused to bring that information out. But thankfully, Most High has people like James Adair, who penned a book of history of the Native Americans that brought out the truth, and other authors that showed how the Native Americans culture paralleled the customs of the Bible and the Torah.
Incidentally, to hints of customs may be discovered, but outside of this, the discoveries made have often been illegitimately used, especially for the purpose of connecting the tribes of North America with peoples of so-called races of antiquity in other portions of the world. A brief review of some conclusions that must be accepted in the present status of the science will exhibit the futility of these attempts. Powell then goes on to definitively state that there are no foreign influences to be seen or studied in relation to the Pueblo and mound-building cultures of the Americas that are believed to precede the American Indians. In relation to his dismissive comments regarding any connection to the lost tribes from the old world. It is interesting to note that Powell was the son of a preacher in Palmyra, New York, who lost his flock to Mormon missionaries.
I should read that again. So it says that Powell was a PK, a preacher's kid. Read that again.
Powell then goes on to definitively state that there are no foreign influences to be seen or studied in relation to the Pueblo and mound building cultures of the Americas that are believed to precede the American Indians in relation to his dismissive comments regarding any connections to the lost tribes from the old world. It is interesting to note that Powell was the son of a preacher in Palmyra, New York, who lost his flock to Mormon missionaries.
All right, now this was around the late 1800s to the early 1900s when Wesley Powell was, around, and we know that according the Bible was different back then according to now, because back then they had the Apocrypha in the Bible, which had 2nd Ezra chapter 13. So he had access to his information like most people today. So they knew that the so-called Native Americans were the lost 10 tribes that 2nd Ezra chapter 13 was talking about. Okay. I want to bring this information out too from our King James flyer that we pass out to educate our people. Will you read that for me, please? Yes.
For almost 300 years, it was standard for the Apocrypha to be a part of the canon of the King James Bible.
So it was standard back in the day. So around Wesley Powell's time, the Apocrypha was standard in all Bibles.
The Apocrypha is a collection of 14 books written by the prophets of the Most High that was located between the OT and New Testament books. Around 1880s, the American Bible Society removed the Apocrypha from the canon of the Bible in order to keep the Hispanics and Native Americans from finding out that they are the chosen people according to scriptures.
Wait, so they removed it around 1880, the American and British Bible Society, they removed the Apocrypha out the canon. So that's interesting, the timing. So still around the time they came up with these bogus and bugged out theories at the Smithsonian Institute in their early inception, the Apocrypha was standard in the Bible. Bring out Revelation 18 and 19 for me real quick.
Okay. The book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 18, 19?
22, 18 and 19.
Slovakia. The book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 18, 19. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book.
So if you fear the Most High, you will not add unto the Bible, making Mormon Bibles or adding false doctrines like Christmas and Easter to the Bible. So if you fear the Most High, you will not add to it.
Verse 19. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of the prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book.
So if any man takes the Apocrypha from the Bible, then the Most High shall take away his part out of the book of life. So you're damned to hell for removing the Apocrypha out of the scriptures to keep the Most High chosen people from finding out the history of who they are. So that's interesting, the timing. I can't say it over and over again. There's no thing as a coincidence. This is part of the Crafty Council to keep the name of Israel from being no more, was removing the Apocrypha out of the Bible and establishing the Smithsonian Institute. More charges against them.
We're going to read again the ancient giants who ruled America. Page 8. Foremost among the wrong-headed theories Powell champion is evolution. We are shown charts of man becoming bipedal and each new man being bigger and smarter than the last.
So this cat, also, who was a preacher's kid, he he grew up learning the Bible because his dad was a pastor. He also promoted evolution. And he knew about the creation story. He had to read the book of Genesis, but so you can tell that he despised the Most High. He hated the truth, pushing evolution also.
This is in direct contradiction to the charts we use for every other animal we study. We have only to look at a bird and be told that it was once a dinosaur to know how false this paradigm of man's growth is.
Okay, that's all. We just wanted to show you, we don't want to get too deep in evolution. That's another lesson for another time, another day. But we just wanted to show you also how, more evidence of how wicked this devil was. And has no regard for the Most High. Let me bring out 2 Peter 2:20 real quick. I'm just going in on the spirits. I got to bring this out real quick. Yeah, this cat didn't fear the Most High at all. So it says, 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 21. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. I mean, so when you hear and learn about these scriptures, you have a responsibility to act on what you know and what you learn, if it's some truth and righteousness. And Pal, being in a so-called Christian home, having some knowledge about the scriptures, rejected the Most High. So he's definitely damned for hell for forsaking the Most High to do this crafty counsel to deceive people with these false doctrines, even up to this day in 2018, which is about 100 or 200 years later. His false doctrine is still confusing people and messing people's minds up. Next, we're going to go to right here, that highlighted part.
The third major contributing factor to the extant historical myopia is the land bridge theory.
So this section is going to show how they developed the Bering Strait theory, which is a recent theory that was created about a little over 100 years ago. So pay attention.
Which states that all the Indian tribes reach America from Asia across the Alaskan land bridge. The man who came up with this absurd and unprovable theory is none other than Dr. Els Herdlicka.
Wait, what's the name again?
Dr. Els Herdlicka.
Okay.
The first curator in 1903 of physical anthropology of the U.S. National Museums, now the Smithsonian Institute National Museum of Natural History. No votes for him. They walked even though we know they would have had to walk around or through the extensive glacier still blocking Canada.
And so you see that the Bering Strait myth saying that the Northern Kingdom walked across Asia to Alaska goes hand in hand with removing the Apocrypha out the Bible. This was around 1903 when this devil was working for the Smithsonian, and they came up with this theory, which is crafty counsel to keep the nation of Israel from being no more.
The theory is absurd, but the Smithsonian told us to believe it, and we did. When academics get caught in such a perfect storm of wrong theories, they have a very hard time wriggling out of it.
And you know, when you go to school, they constantly repeat this lie from the time you're in first grade till you can graduate high school about the Bering Strait, and we know that the repeating lies does not make a lie true.
Reputations and careers are at stake. Books have been written and published and promotions garnered on the weight of their verity. So the fix was in from the beginning, so to speak.
You know, that's what Esau does. He makes some documentaries, books, movies, classroom textbooks to to try to validate their lies. Because you see, if all these books and information is out there, it must be true then. And unfortunately, most people are simple, so they fall for that crafty counsel.
Our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and we won't even pick up a book.
And that's what they say. If you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book.
That's
and,
what they say.
Every black person has a Bible in their house, but they won't open up and read it. They won't blow the dust off it to open up the book and see what's in it.
Page 11, last paragraph. It is bad enough that these biased and unsupported claims were the policy of the Smithsonian in the 19th century, but to make matters worse, Charles Doolittle Walcott, Secretary Chief Executive Officer of Smithsonian from 1907 to 1927, made the Powell Doctrine the official dogma of the museum for the entire 20th century as well. In fact, the Powell Doctrine is still the official policy of the Smithsonian as of this writing, despite the fact that some scholars associated with the museum are finally starting to speak out in support of evidence of early European settlement in America.
Now that's it from that book. Now we want to show you, according to the scriptures, how the Northern Kingdom, how our Hispanic brothers came to Americans. And they're not descendants of Asians. They are far from it, because how many Hispanics do you see running a Chinese restaurant or an Asian restaurant? Or have Buddha statues or practicing Hinduism? You don't see no Hispanics doing that. Most of them are in Christianity, because they have a zeal for the Lord but without knowledge.
The book of 2nd Esdras.
Or 2nd Kings.
Oh, Slakia.
Yeah, we're going to go with 2nd Kings first and then go to 2nd Esdras next.
The book of 2nd Kings, chapter 17, 1 through 17.
Or 1 through 6.
Slakia. The book of 2nd Kings, chapter 17, verse 1 through 6. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years.
Alright, so this takes place at the time of King Hoshea. Remember that.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the king of Israel that were before him.
Okay.
Against him came Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria.
That's why the Most High brought judgment on King Hoshea, because he trusted in Egypt more than he trusted in the Most High. And we got to remember that today, to not go to Egypt for help, but to seek the Most High, or he's going to bring even more judgment on us.
As he had done the year by year, therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years.
Okay.
In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Hala, in harbor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes.
Okay, so Lockie, so when we saw that King Shalmaneser, the king of Syria, besieged Samaria, which is the capital city of the northern kingdom, and he besieged it, and after he eventually got in after 3 years, he deported everybody out of Samaria and brought them to his land, Assyria then. And you know, a lot of Christian churches say that the 10 tribes just happened to disappear, and they just mixed in with the other nations. They're no more, which is far from the truth. Let me bring out Malachi chapter 3 verse 6 real quick. Shows that it'll be the Most High breaking this word if the 10 tribes disappeared altogether. This is Malachi 3:6. For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So if he let the 10 tribes disappear and never be no more, then the Most High will be breaking his word, and he's not capable of lying or breaking his word then.
Okay.
So they was always preserved as a nation. And this is why they took the Apocrypha out of the scriptures. We're going to go to 2nd Ezra 13 to show you that they are still around, they didn't go nowhere.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40, verse 39. Oh, no, verse 40. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Okay, so this is a continuation from 2 Kings chapter 17.
But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into the further country where never mankind dwelt.
So when they was in captivity in Syria, they bethink themselves and they remember who they were. So they made plans to leave the land of their captives to go to another land where no man dwells. That can't be Africa, because we know that Africa is the land of Ham according to the scriptures. So Africa was already discovered and occupied.
Verse 42. That they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land.
Okay.
And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arzareth,
which means another land. Now, you don't take no year and a half to sail from the Middle East to Africa.
Not at all. I mean, come on now, that's common sense right there.
Yeah, you must have flunked geography class. Come on.
How you think it take from that time to go from Assyria to just somewhere in Africa? That makes no sense. I mean, some of them stay behind. Let's not get that twisted. But just to go to Africa from Assyria, you try to say it took a year and a half? That's madness.
I mean, it took Magellan 3 years to sail around the whole world. So halfway around the world, it's a year and a half. If it makes sense, it lines up. You got to use common sense, people. Quit being so simple and stubborn.
Verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time.
Till this day.
The latter time. And now when they shall begin to come.
So that's how the indigenous people of the Americas got to America. It wasn't for no Bering Strait. It was from sailing from the Middle East around Africa to the Americas. Let me bring out Romans 3:4. Romans 3:4. It says, "For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mighties overcome when thou art judged." You people in the truth that saying the so-called Hispanics are not part of the 10 tribes, especially you should be ashamed of yourselves. You don't believe in the scriptures at all.
Some of y'all, like, how y'all gonna say that all 10 tribes is in Africa anyway? I mean, I know we in Africa. Let's not deny that. I know we in Africa. We scattered to the 4 corners of the globe. But how you gonna say all 10 tribes remain in Africa? That's foolishness. Then some of y'all trying to say that the 10 tribes migrated to the Caspian Sea. That would make the 10 tribes the Khazars. That's foolishness as well.
I mean, just to walk from Egypt to the Middle East, it's like 40 days, ain't it, just to walk? He say take a year and a half to sell to Africa. You just bugging out,
right?
What else we have? And also another question is, if the indigenous people aren't the true people, then how did we get the Los Lunas Decalogue stone and other artifacts like the Bakri stone artifacts written in Hebrew? The Los Luna Decalogue stone is a stone with the 10 Commandments written in ancient Hebrew. It was found in New Mexico in 1933. So how did that end up in the Americas then?
What about them caves in Michigan that got the Hebrew writing in them? I mean, a lot of stuff y'all talking in Spanish, y'all need to go do some research. Why you thinking they trying so hard to debunk it now? It's been like that for 100 years, these artifacts were validated. And then like hundreds of years later, they trying to debunk it now because they don't want you to know that these are your brethren. Wake up, Jacob.
And there's probably hundreds more or thousands more Hebrew artifacts found in Americas, but that's why we brought out this Smithsonian Institute to show that they destroyed or hiding these artifacts from the world, so people won't know the true nationality of this Hispanics and Native Americans.
Why do you think they even took the time to take this out of the Bible? They took the time to take out 14 plus books. Well, 14 of them was in there as regular canonical books. The 14 called the Apocrypha. So why do you think they took the time to take it out? Because they didn't want you to know who you are and who your peoples were. It's time to go back and read. You got to study to show thyself approved.
I'm bringing out Revelation 12:16.
The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 16. The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
I mean, so Smithsonian wasn't able to destroy all the artifacts. That's how we was able to have proof with the Los Lunas stones, the Bakri stone, the caves in Michigan, that there's still a few Hebrew artifacts out there to validate the truth in the Bible. And the earth helped the woman by preserving these artifacts and keeping them from the devil.
That's right, and they swallow the flood is the flood of misinformation through the educational system and the lies.
Exactly.
All the false doctrines. Stuff that you try to cover up to keep you from.
And you gotta have a spiritual mind when you go in the scriptures. You gotta have a mind of the Most High to get this understanding. If you're going with a carnal mind by going what you want to believe, what you don't, you're not going to get this. So you can't be carnal minded when dealing with the word of the Most High at all. Or you're going to miss out on so much information and truth. Yep.
From there we're going to go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, 18 through 20. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, 18 through 20.
Slock gives time to get a little man on the page. Alright, 1 Corinthians 3, 18 to 20.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18 through 20.
Okay.
Let no man deceive himself. If any among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain.
Which means worthless. So you see, just because you might have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, or a doctor's degree, if you don't have the knowledge of the Most High of these scriptures, then you're a fool.
Come.
How many people with doctor's degrees and master's degrees don't know their nationality according to the Bible? The majority of them. They just absorb the BS that Esau teaches them, then regurgitate it out.
And y'all stupid enough to follow behind him when Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 quotes, trust in the Lord and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct the path. So all you gotta do is go back to this book and line it up with the historical facts, and he's gonna direct your path. It's really just that simple.
Let me bring out Sirach chapter 1, verse 1 says, all wisdom cometh from Yahweh, and is with him forever. So gaining wisdom starts with the word of the Most High, learning these scriptures, applying these laws, statutes, and commandments to your life.
Come.
If you don't got the scriptures, you're not dealing with no wisdom at all. I don't care how many degrees you have, you can be hotter than a furnace. If you got the word of the Most High, then it's foolishness to them with the Most High.
It's all vanity. From there, we're going to go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6 through 9. And we're going to bring this out because a lot of us, we sending our children to school and we just letting the educational system do for them. And we not taking the time out and teaching them at home of who they are or what they come from. And it's your responsibility to do so. These schools and these churches ain't going to teach them about the greatness of who they are. We was with an elder last night and he was letting us know that these people are going to let us stay in their Gentile state of mind. And we got to come to them and let them know who they are, because right now they are Gentiles in that state of mind.
Which is a bad state of mind to be in.
Come.
Celebrating Christmas, Easter, defiling your bodies with pork and
shrimp,
abominable foods. The Bible elevates you to a higher status, unlike society which lowers you to a lower status spiritually.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6 through 9. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fall. He that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor.
So we need to train up our children with the scriptures, give them knowledge of these scriptures, because wisdom starts with the Most High, so that they can have the spiritual eye to navigate through this world and see the lies and deceptions. So it's important as parents first to have a healthy relationship with the Most High and learn to work for ourselves, so we can give the information and give this truth to our children and our nieces and nephews, or the young brothers on the street that looking for direction.
Because right now they just thinking it's cool to be gangsters and things of that nature and to fight over colors and not know their heritage. They be stuck in stupidity, and our enemies want them to be stuck in this stupidity.
And that's why we're destroyed as people, because we don't have the knowledge of the Most High. We don't know how to love the Most High according to the scriptures. We don't know how to love each other, deal with each other according to the scriptures. We're filled up with self-hate and envy of our enemies when we're greater than our enemies and oppressors. We're the greatest people according to the Most High, and we don't even know it.
That's
the majority
right.
of people know.
From there we're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 6 through 9.
So this is the curriculum that you should have in your household according to the Most High. So we know the schools has a curriculum, but the Most High has a curriculum for your kids also.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 6 through 9. And these words which I shall command thee this day shall be in thine heart,
know the heart is in the mind according to the Bible.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
So teach them diligently, teach them thoroughly. Not the way the Christian church teaches the kids, telling just Bible stories and parables. Teach the law, teach the whole scripture to them thoroughly.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest down in thine house.
Okay.
And when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates.
That's right.
So you will bless your household when you teach your kids these laws, statutes, commandments, and the words of the Most High. It's going to be a big blessing upon your household. And you will erase and overcome the curses that our people are destined for by having this knowledge.
Okay, and your gates represent your leadership. So this should be coming from your leadership.
Connie will be creating leaders for the future, because the elder that was sitting with the other day was talking about how most of our boys and men growing up today have a boy mentality, calling themselves little pump, little dump, little scrappy. Having kid mentality. We're raising the generation of Peter Pans, people that just want to be kids forever, like
looking like My Little Pony.
Right, like Lil Wayne, he's in his 30s and he's still going about Lil Wayne. Now you're a grown man now. Got kids getting ready to graduate high school. So we need to teach our boys to be men and our women to be women, which is something that's greatly missing in society today.
Ken.
They just in a child state of mentality.
Is there anything else you'd like to bring out right now?
Yeah, that's all I can think of today. So.
Yeah, me too. First and foremost, we'd like to say once again, give all praise and glory and honor to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai. And again, greetings to the 12 tribes of Israel that's scattered to the 4 corners of the globe. Shabbat Shalom. We want to give a shout out to Brother Aaron Lawyer Ben Yahawada.
You seem like a gangster.
Mark Daniels. Sister Teresa Miller. Sister Natalie Van Ma. Stanley Brown. Sister Tara Lyles. And we want to give a shout out to Mac News 144.
Shalom.
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 And as you know, you can hit us up on this page at Rise the Chosen, Truth Beyond the Service Temple. And you can look up our previous videos at Mikael7 on YouTube.
That's right.
And with that, we say Shabbat Shalom. Kum Yasharala! Kum Yasharala! Kum Yasharala! Peace, y'all, and much love, and thanks for watching, Miss Parker.